healed from ovarian cancer.
What made this just a miraculous thing? I mean, I know you told me about something popping in the tub. Explain it to us.
Given 6 months to live.
While I was in the shower, I heard things pop.
Pop like
like a popping sound.
Wow.
And I'm looking
Next,
and I'm like,
on the Shon Brown Show. The Shon Brown Show, discussing today's issues and making it personal.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Shon Brown Show, where we teach, encourage, and we build. My name is Shon Brown, and I am your host. And I am so excited to have Bridgett Adderley-Louis in the building.
hey, y'all.
Bridgett has an amazing testimony. I mean, just how God has healed her from ovarian cancer. And a lot of people might not know about ovarian cancer. We know about breast cancer, but we really don't hear about ovarian cancer. And with me being a health professional, I'm just going to educate y'all a little bit about cancer in general. So what happens? How is cancer formed? We hear about breast cancers. Our aunties have breast cancer, but how is our cancer formed? Your cells start to mutate, which means they divide rapidly. They start dividing and reproducing rapidly. And then all of a sudden, a mass is formed, a tumor is formed, and we don't want that. Normally in our bodies, your cells die. It's just a normal thing that your cells do. But with a tumor, it stays. And when you hear about somebody saying, hey, such and such, their cancer has spread all over their body or metastasized, it's because a piece of that tumor breaks off. So ovarian cancer, what is it with ovarian cancer? Ovarian cancer is different than breast cancer because with breast cancer, you can self-examine yourself. But with ovarian cancer, normally when you have the symptoms, it's too late. You're in stage 3 and you're in stage 4. And this is what happened to Bridgett Adderley-Louis. What were your symptoms when you first had ovarian cancer?
Well, in the beginning, I really didn't have any symptoms. Well, I thought I didn't have any.
Right.
I thought it was just, I always had very bad menstrual cycle cramps, or I experienced that pain. I was always fatigued. I was bloated.
Right.
I had night sweats and things like that. And I just thought it was just something that my body would normally do when I went through my menstrual cycle. So it really wasn't a symptom like how you said breast cancer, you can feel a lump,
right,
or it's something that you can really see or feel. It was very vague.
So how did you find out that you had this cancer?
Well, I suffered with ovarian cysts most of my teenage life. I had very bad periods, very bad menstrual cycles. My parents and we were in and out of the hospital a lot with that because of the pain. Then as I grew older, I guess, I don't know if the cysts turned to tumors, but tumors started developing in my system. Because I had struggled with cysts all my life, whenever I did experience pain, I just thought it was the cyst. Right. And so I would take the medication and do that. But it just started getting worse and worse. And that's when I went and saw a doctor. And then he was like, well, I think you need to go see an oncologist now because I think it has developed into something worse.
Right. I believe you told me you were 21 or 22 years old. Yes. Oh, my God. I can't even imagine.
That is unheard of in ovarian cancer also because it usually happens to women after menopause or in the older years. But for some reason, it happened to me when I was 21. I was getting ready to celebrate my 22nd birthday. It wasn't far from that. And that's when they told me that I was in stage 4 and I did not have long to live.
Stage 4. Don't have much time to live. 22 years old. I honestly cannot imagine. I remember I had an episode where I thought they felt a lump, in my breast, and I was in college and I drove all the way back home. My parents prayed for me. I'll never forget it. Mm-hmm. I drove all the way back to college crying for 4 hours. So I can't even imagine just 21, 22 years old, just you're in that stage. So you went into your doctor's office and then you ran the test. You had to come back.
Yes.
And then your doctor tells you what?
That I had 6 months to live, that it had gotten so far gone that that's how bad that it was. Yes.
Wow. So you're probably crying at this point, right?
Not really. I was more in shock,
In shock.
than anything. I was just like, what? Because like you said, I was 21.
Right.
What 21-year-old, has to deal with? They're living the prime of their life. They're thinking about parties and,
Right.
well, me, I was always a church girl,
Right,
so
right.
I was thinking about the church
Praise the Lord.
concerts and, things like
Right.
that. And I'm like, I'm about to live my best life. I'm finally grown and legal or whatever you call it.
Yes.
And so I was really more in shock than anything. It took me a while to get to that crying moment.
6 months to live. Who did you tell first?
I told my father first. My father's my pastor. I'm a PK. But it even still took me a while to tell him. It took me about a week to tell him because I was just so afraid. I didn't know how his reaction was going to be. I'm a family person. I'm family oriented.
Right,
my family is my everything.
Yes.
So I was more concerned about hurting them than anything than really the hurt that I was feeling myself.
Is there a reason why you told him over your mom or anybody else? Is it,
He was my spiritual leader. He was the one who always gave me spiritual guidance at the time. Everybody know I call my daddy my Superman. So whenever something's broke, he's the one I call to fix it. Well, that was before I got married. But before I got married, he was the one that I called. And if something was broke, he was there to fix it. He was like, seriously, my Superman, spiritually, naturally, everything. So, of course, he was the first person that came to mind. My mom, she's such a sweet soul. But I know that it probably would have tore her apart if I would have told her first.
Right.
So that's why I told my dad first.
And his words to you after hey, Dad, I have 6 months to live. What did he tell you?
Well, of course, he encouraged me with the word. He quoted the scripture. We prayed, and we just moved on from there. He was like, whatever we have to do, let's do it. And, let's try to fight this thing.
Right. So when your mom found out, was it the reaction that you thought?
Yes.
Or
she was scared. Everybody in my family is scared. I am the baby girl of 4 siblings and of a host of other kids because my dad has spiritually adopted so many others. So I'm the baby out of all of them. So for them to have to hear that their baby sister might be there, it was a lot of fear. It was, that was involved. Yeah. Right.
So one of the highlight of the story is that Bridgett, she planned her death. And what I mean by that is that Bridgett, you had a concert or something like that. You planned your concert.
Prior to me finding out I was planning a concert, I had wrote some songs. And once I did find out, I was like, okay, I have to do this. This has to be done. My music has to be heard. It has to bless someone before I leave this earth. And so I planned my concert. It was in July of 2003. And right before, a little before my 22nd birthday. And at that concert, that's when I explained to family and friends and associates that I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer and that the doctors had told me I didn't have long to live. Yeah.
And what was their reaction? I mean,
people were shocked. They were, a lot of people were mad because in the concert, I made the mission. I said, even if God don't let me live, I want for him to get the glory out of my life. And, my family was like, no, you don't say that. You fight, you do whatever it takes. And so, some were upset that I said that, but I truly did mean what I said. I was like, if God does not let me live, I still want him to be able to get glory out of my life.
So faith is a big thing. I mean, did it go up and down? Did you have faith? Were you depressed? Or, tell me your feelings because, mental issues is, we see it all day, Facebook all day, every day.
Yes.
So tell me about your mental capacity.
My faith was a roller coaster. It went up and down constantly, and to the point where I just really did get to a low point, and I just really did want to die because the pain was great.
Right.
I was in constant pain, and I'll never forget. It was my father. He came to me and he said, So you just don't give up?
Wow.
That's what you're going to do? You know, God has put so much inside of you. He has so many promises that he's promised you that has not come to pass. So that's what you're going to do? And I've always been like that. You know me. Right. I've always been that fighter, that person, like, if you try me, I'm going to try you back.
Right.
And so when he said that, it kind of like stirred something up in me. And I think from that point, I didn't have, it kind of like my faith went up. And I was like, no, I want to live.
Right.
You know, I don't want to die. So that was the turning point for me.
And at that point, you were a minister, right? I believe you started preaching at age 11.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I preached my first sermon at the age of 11 at my father's church. I became the youth pastor at his church, and I was preaching and
doing your thing.
You know, I was doing my thing. But hey, when tests and trials come, that's when the rubber meets the road. That's when you really have to trust and believe those things that you preach and that you sing about.
Well, let me ask you this. I know a lot of people, they say this. Do you feel you were being punished? I know sometimes when trials come and adversity, we feel like God is punishing me. Maybe it's because I did this. Maybe it's because I did that. Did you ever have those feelings?
No, I never felt like I was being punished, but the question, why me, would come up a lot.
Right.
Like I said, I grew up in church. I was born in church. I was a PK. I've always thought that I did what was right. And so I would be like, why me?
Right.
You know, and then you have those people like, well, you know, the words of your testimony are, and I'm like, yeah, but why me? You know? And so that, I didn't feel like I was being punished, but I did question God. Like, why me, Lord?
Right.
You know?
Right. So the healing process. What made this just a miraculous thing? I mean, I know you told me about something popping in the tub. Explain it to us.
Well, like I said, after that conversation with my dad, my faith just went upward. I started reading about healing, studying about healing. Not only did I have others praying for me, but I prayed for myself because it was something that I'm like, yeah, they can get a prayer through, but I want to know that I can lay hands on myself and then I can recover. And my faith just went up. And one day I was praying, I was reading, and I just went in the shower and I took a shower. And I usually sing in the shower. I'm a singer, and I'm just in there singing and worshiping. And while I was in the shower, I heard things pop.
Pop like
like a popping sound.
Wow.
And I'm looking and I'm like, and excuse me for being graphic, but blood started draining down my leg.
Wow.
And
what God?
I was like, what is happening? And immediately I got out the shower. I told my parents and my family, and I went to the doctor. And they were like, okay, you know, because through my whole thing, I told my doctor, like, I'm a believer. I believe God's going to heal me. And, you know, and some doctors, they'd be like, yeah, okay.
Right. We'll wait on it. Yeah, you'll be gone, but we'll wait
on it. You know. And so when I went to my doctor, I said, something happened. I don't know what happened. Something popped. I don't know if something ruptured or something. And he was like, okay, let's run some tests. We ran the test. They did every scan, MRI, X-ray that you could think of. And when they did it, they showed me the X-ray and all the tests from before, and then they showed me the one after. It looked like someone had went in and surgically removed tumors. Oh, it was God.
Oh, Jesus went in and just surgically removed everything.
He did it.
Wow.
He did it. And like the doctor was just like, he didn't know what, and he was just like, I'm baffled. I'm confused. I don't even know what to say. But I knew that God healed me. I knew He did.
These are the stories that we need to hear, because a lot of people don't believe that Jesus still healed. You know, they just don't see miracles and their faith is down. And these are the stories that people need to see and hear. But tell me this. So you find out you're healed. X-ray, you're looking at it, the MRI, whatever, the imaging. Who do you tell? So you told your father first. You're healed now. Who is the first person that you tell?
My father.
Your father. It is something
parents.
About daddy.
Yeah, I'm a daddy's girl. Everybody know it. And I told him, but I did tell him and my mom together.
Yeah.
And it was just it was rejoicing. It was happiness. It was, and like, I didn't cry until I saw their happiness bounced off of me. And it was a miraculous and happy day. I'm telling you.
Right. Did you live life differently? If y'all might not know, Bridgett is a gospel recording artist. She released Butterfly. Mm-hmm. Was it last year, 2018?
In November. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Did that change the way you're singing, or did it make you do more because you have life now? Like, what was the change?
I look at life differently. I don't sweat the small stuff. Mm-hmm. And I go at it all that I can. Especially, I'm a worship pastor at my church. Mm-hmm. Anybody at Journey Fellowship or any other church that I've been a praise and worship leader at, they know I go full forth. Right. Like, if it's nobody else there in the room, because it's vertical for me. Right. I'm praising God. Every time I go up there, not only has he healed me from cancer, but he's healed me from depression. He's healed me from so many things. And so when I'm on stage, I don't hold back. Yeah. And I think it really did affect my worship.
Yes.
Because whenever I can, I tap in and I go full forward, you know.
So what can we expect from you in the future?
Well, we recorded about 2 years ago in February. We have still been working on that album. We're looking to finish that. And just some other great things. I'm getting back into speaking and ministering. And so we're just going, whatever God has for me, that's what I'm ready to do. Mm-hmm.
Thanks for tuning into the Shon Brown Show. And thanks again, Bridgett, for being here with us.
Thanks for having me.
Such an amazing story with such inspiration. I pray that this blessed somebody today. Thanks again, Bridgett, and thanks for tuning in.